I'm here with the Association of African Universities Television, AUTV. I just want to say that without the media, you won't know what's going on in the world. Even with the media, you sometimes don't know what's going on in the world. So you need to tune in to the reliable sources who are really on the front lines, who can give you the information you need and give you facts, not conjecture, give you real news, not fake news. And this is the place to find it, AUTV.
The voice of higher education in Africa.
It is another beautiful morning. Good morning to you from Ghana and welcome to the Hello Africa Morning Show. This program is brought to you by the Association of African Universities, and we are broadcasting live from the headquarters of the Association of African Universities here in Accra, Ghana. This program is proudly sponsored by Verna Purified Water and Biko Drinks. My name is Isabella Tetteh-Ahinakwa. Now, today on our top African news, we'll be looking at UNIJOS confirming safe rescue of kidnapped medical students. We're also looking at UCC and STIAS collaborating to boost Africa's research and innovation. We also have Kenyan students studying in China to help operate standard gauge railway. Also, on the news portal review, we'll be taking some news stories from the University World News, bbc.com, as well as graphic.com.gh. I know you wouldn't want to miss this. Stay with us as we go for a quick break. When we come back, we shall dive into the top African news. Please stay tuned.
Hello Africa, keep watching AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
University of Jos, or UNIJOS, has officially confirmed the successful rescue of 11 of its medical students and one house officer who were kidnapped on Thursday, 15 August 2024 in Otukpo, Benue State. The students were on their way to Enugu State to participate in the annual convention of the Federation of Catholic Medical and Dental Students when the incident occurred. This was confirmed after the release of a press statement from the university on 24th August 2024.
Thanks to the prompt and coordinated effort of various security agencies, including the police, Department of State Services DSS, the military, the students and house officer were safely rescued alongside their colleagues from the University of Maiduguri, who had also been abducted. The Vice-Chancellor of UNIJOS, Professor Tanko Ishaya, played a crucial role by tirelessly working with the security forces to ensure the safe return of the abducted student. Throughout this challenging period, Professor Ishaya directed the Directorate of Student Affairs to maintain constant communication with the parents and guardians, providing updates on the situation and gathering critical information to aid the rescue effort. The university also reached out to religious leaders to offer additional support and prayers for the safe return of the student. The University of Jos expressed its deep gratitude to President Muhammadu Buhari, who personally directed that students be rescued, as well as to the National Security Advisor, the Inspector General of Police, and the governor of Benue State for their vital roles in coordinating the rescue operation. The university also acknowledged the effort of all those who worked behind the scenes to ensure the students' safe return, including Nigerians who offered prayers and support during these difficult times. Currently, the rescue students and house officer are in Abuja undergoing medical evaluation and receiving the necessary care. They will soon be reunited with their parents and guardians. The institution is determined to assist relevant authorities in enhancing security measures and preventing such incidents in the future.
That is a great news from the University of Jos, and we are hoping that the other students will be rescued safely. Now, moving on to collaborations between higher education in Africa, the University of Cape Coast, UCC in Ghana, and the Stellenbosch Institute for Advanced Studies, STIAS, in South Africa, have agreed in principle to collaborate on strengthening Africa's research and innovation ecosystem. This decision was made during a visit by a 5-member delegation from STIAS to UCC's Vice-Chancellor, Professor Johnson Nyakon Boapong.
During the meeting, Professor Boapong expressed enthusiasm about the collaboration, citing positive impact of the STIAS Fellowship Program on UCC faculty members. He proposed formalizing the collaboration through the Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, to facilitate collaborative research and the exchange of expertise between UCC and STIAS. In response, the director of STIAS, Professor Edward Kirumira, provided insight into the institution's mission since its establishment in 1999, which is to offer a creative space for the mind and to foster cross-disciplinary research at the highest level. Professor Kirumira highlighted the fellowship and scholarship opportunities STIAS provides to leading researchers and intellectuals worldwide, with a particular focus on Africa. He encouraged UCC faculty to apply for these scholarships, which could enrich their academic portfolios and enable them to contribute to addressing global and African challenges. Professor Kirumira also mentioned that STIAS has funding available to support universities in organizing conferences, workshops, seminars, and lectures, and he urged UCC to take advantage of this offer. He assured the Vice-Chancellor of STIAS' readiness to collaborate with UCC in engaging in cutting-edge research and providing sustainable solutions to challenges facing both Africa and the world.
Congratulations to UCC and STIAS, and actually the University of Cape Coast was ranked #1 university in West Africa, Ghana, and the 7th in the whole Africa, and I'm hoping that this collaboration is going to boost the universities, both of them, to be ranked #1 and 2 on the whole continent. Now, moving to Kenya, Kenyan students studying engineering in Beijing Zhuangton University are part of a broader initiative to build local expertise for operating and maintaining Kenya's standard gauge railway. Sponsored by the Kenyan and Chinese governments, these students will return to manage the Mombasa-Nairobi railway, applying their advanced training to the project.
The scholarship program aims to address the skills gap in Kenya's railway sector. Students like Jamlik Mwangi Kariuki are gaining valuable knowledge to support the standard gauge railway SGR's operations. Their education in China highlights the strong bilateral ties and the commitment to enhancing Kenya's infrastructure capabilities. In a gesture of thanks, Kariuki and his peers sent a train ticket from Nairobi to Mombasa to Chinese President Xi Jinping, inviting him to experience the SGR. They received a supportive response from Xi, encouraging them to continue fostering strong ties between China, Kenya, and Africa. Since opening in 2017, the SGR has contributed approximately 2% to Kenya's GDP. Despite some financial challenges and lower cargo service uptake, Kenya is expanding its railway network with recent funding commitments from China's Exim Bank for an extension to the Uganda border.
Still on China's collaborative effort to advancing Africa, the Chinese trade with Africa has continued to grow robustly, increasing from 5.5% year-on-year to reach 1.19 trillion yuan, that is approximately $166.6 billion in the first 7 months of 2024, according to data from the General Administration of Customs, GAC.
In 2023, China-Africa trade reached a record high of $282.1 billion, reflecting a 1.5% increase year-on-year. Significant growth was observed in China's imports of African nuts, vegetables, flowers, and fruits, as well as its exports of new energy vehicles, lithium batteries, and photovoltaic products to Africa. China has maintained its position as Africa's largest trading partner for 15 consecutive years. The newly released China-Africa Trade Index reached a record high of 990.55 points in 2022, highlighting the rapid development of bilateral trade since 2000. The first 7 months of 2024 saw a 6.4% increase in trade of intermediate goods, supporting Africa's industrialization and economic diversification efforts. The upcoming 2024 summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation in Beijing is expected to further strengthen economic ties between the two regions.
And in the field of robotics and artificial intelligence, Nadia and Claire, the robotic waiters at a new restaurant in Nairobi, have become a local sensation as they smoothly deliver orders in the 2-month-old establishment, offering a novel dining experience in East Africa.
While customers enjoy the unique service provided by the robots, the restaurant's management emphasizes that the robots are primarily for entertainment and not a replacement for human staff. Concerns about job displacement are addressed by highlighting the robot's role in enhancing customer experience rather than cutting costs. Customers access the menu via QR codes and place orders online, which are then delivered by the robots after a human waiter sets the tray. The robots are charged overnight and controlled by a central command center. Though robotic waiters are common in places like China and Japan, their presence in Kenya is a fresh and exciting concept that has been met with enthusiasm. Manager John Kariuki and hospitality consultant Edith Ojwan assure that the diverse needs of customers will ensure the continued relevance of human staff in the industry, with the robots adding a technological edge that appeals to modern diners.
That is quite interesting to watch, and I like the fact that the restaurant did not lay off employees, but rather brought in these robotic waiters to help employees in their work. And my question is, how reliable are these machines? Looking at how slow they are moving and all that. But I mean, it is good we all take in the advanced technology era. And that will be all for the top African news. Moving on will be the news portal review, and that will be after the short break. Please stay tuned.
Are you a researcher or an innovator making a difference in Africa and Europe? The SIA Project invites you to share your success story and join a movement dedicated to sharing best practices, bridging knowledge gaps, inspiring others, fostering collaboration. Share your story now and be recognized, celebrated, connected with global network of researchers and innovators. For more information and to submit your story,
explore a whole new world of exciting visuals with AAU TV. Get ready for a mix of interesting talk shows, interviews, discovery documentaries, and news on AAU TV. It's not just about watching TV, it's about experiencing something special. AAU TV reaches over 25 countries in Africa, bringing you a blend of knowledge and fun. Learn about different cultures as you enjoy the shows. If you have events or want to showcase your business, we've got you covered. Watch AAU TV free-to-air channel on satellite. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at AAU TV. Reach out on call or WhatsApp us at +233 26 629 6601 or +233 20 399 5210. AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.
You're welcome back from the break. This is Hello Africa Morning Show, and today I am joined by Philimon, Edward Philimon. Hello, Edward.
Hi.
You're welcome to Hello Africa. And nice being on the show with me.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Great. How is your morning so far?
It's been good so far. I'm happy to be here in the month of September, your birth month.
Why are you mentioning this, Phil? Why are you mentioning this?
No, it's good to talk about it.
It is your month as well, right?
It is my month as well. So
and it's Kwame Nkrumah's month too.
Exactly. So there's a lot to celebrate in this month. So we look forward to it. So all I can say is September be good to us.
Great. All he can say is September should be good to us. Now, starting with the news portal review, we have some suggestions from Kenya, and this is from the University World News. It says, a recent proposal by Kenyan MPs to merge university funding sources and offer free education has ignited both hope and skepticism among stakeholders, leaving students like George Idrembo eager yet uncertain about the future of higher education. During an August parliamentary session, MPs argued that the current university funding model causes chaos and risk, excluding many needy students. They proposed merging various funding streams, including the Higher Education Loan Board and the Universities Fund, to make tertiary education free for all. However, the visibility of this ambitious plan has been questioned by educators and experts. The Ministry of Education's recent directive for universities to admit all eligible students, regardless of their ability to pay, adds to the debate, raising fears of compromised educational quality and service delivery. As stakeholders await further development, the question remains, can Kenya truly achieve free education for all? Phil, can Kenya truly achieve free education for all? This is a proposal for free tertiary education in Kenya. What do you think?
Well, education in the first place is good.
It's very needed.
To say it has to be free, it sounds good because then it means a lot of people will have access to education. They will be educated. At the end of the day, this will benefit the Kenyan economy. But the question really is this doable? And if you implement it, is it sustainable?
How sustainable it is?
Because these things happen in some parts of Europe where students, even some African students, take advantage of it and they go to school in Europe and then they have tuition-free education and all of that. But in Africa, in Kenya, to be specific, the question is this sustainable? How are they going to fund these things? because tertiary education comes from diplomas, come to certificate programs. You talk about 4-year degree programs, then you have master's programs, you have PhDs. So look at the range of programs available and the number of people who will be willing to get into this opportunity.
Yeah.
How sustainable is this? I mean, it's a good thing, really. So if it can be sustainable, I would say that Kenya should do this because in the next 4 years at most, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, they'll begin to reap the benefits of it in the economy.
I agree with you. But then last week, we spoke on a story still in Kenya where tertiary lecturers and professors are going on strike because the government is owing them their salary. So already there's no funds in the country, and here you are proposing free education, relying it on the new university funding model, which is also a problem. People are already against that model. Now, I'd like to let you see the differences between the old and the new model. So, with the old model, we have the government funding students, and also we have capitation grants. We have limited revenue sources. That is, the university had limited avenues for generating additional income, often relying heavily on tuition fees and then the government support. And we also have funding decisions which are largely made at the national levels with limited autonomy given to universities. Now, with the new model, it's based on performance base. So as a student, if you are a good student, that is where you are going to be kind of supported with your tuition fee. And it's also cost sharing. So initially, when they look at, you are from a needy home and all that, you pay 20% of your tuition fee, and then the government will cater for the 80%. But with the new model, even if you are coming from a needy home and you are not performing, your parent is still going to pay your school fees. They'll pay like almost 80%. And yes, they are going to pay a huge percentage of your tuition fee. Then the government will take. Yes, so there's cost sharing and also some decentralization. They are looking at other fundings from other revenue. So basically, the new model is already a problem to people, especially from the needy homes, right? Because now I have to, though it is good, I need to perform very well before the government will look at me or will try to support me. But the old one, they don't look at that. I mean, it is for it benefits almost. It is fair for everyone. Do you get it? And now this is already a problem. You are going to look at this and say free education for everybody. When there is funding issues in the country, when you are owing the same people who are even going on strike. So now, free education, when I come to class, what am I coming to learn?
So that's where the problem begins from. It still comes back to the sustainability of the program or the plan. Now, you are already owing lecturers. How are you going to solve this problem first? Because if you don't pay them, they are not coming to teach these people who are happy to
in a large quantity. It is free. Now
so they are going to come in probably the numbers will triple. You know, so if you haven't solved this problem, how are you going to make sure that the free education is going to happen? Because if the numbers double or triple, these people are not going to be paying tuition fees. How do you support the system? Because it's an institution. It cannot run without funding. One of the major ways to fund the institution is by collecting tuition fees and user facility fees. So if these people are not going to pay all of these things, then how is this program sustainable? I mean, like I said earlier, it's a good thing. It is a good thing. But it is always an issue of sustainability. So if Kenya can, first of all, tackle the problem of the lecturers going on strike, pay them, and make sure that there is no backlog or anything of the sort, then we can move on from there and then look at how sustainable this program will be for the free education. Because what I know in Europe is that these free tuitions come on the benevolence of, let's say, billionaires or families who have more than enough. And they have made, they have set up foundations, they have set up scholarship schemes. And then this is how they fund these things. Does Kenya have this kind of backing? Okay, so if it's the government that is going to fund this, then the government has to look at this again. But if they have support from individuals, they have support from families, they have support from corporate organizations or CSOs, whatever you can call them, who are willing to make sure that they are going to fund this thing. And when I talk about the fund, it's not small money. You're talking top dollar.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
to make sure that people going through all of this programs, at least for 4 years, will not have problems.
Yeah.
You know, so
Very
this is the key thing for me. I mean, there's not a bad thing about wanting to do free education, but the sustainability is what must be talked about the most.
Very true.
Yeah.
So the question still stands: Can Kenya?
Can Kenya do it?
Yes, can
Yeah.
Kenya do it? So
Yeah.
we are just hoping they come up with a good strategy, especially with the sustainability
Exactly.
plan.
Yeah.
How are they going to sustain it
Yeah.
for maybe a couple of years? And I
Yeah.
know if people see that it is going
Yeah.
on well, obviously
Yeah.
people are going to support it.
Yeah.
It's just like Ghana, free SHS for students.
Yeah.
And now we are hearing free education for first year tertiary students.
Exactly.
Can we do it? The question is, can Ghana
we do
also
it?
do it?
Yes.
Right.
It's
We are
a
just
question.
hoping.
It's
We
a
are
question,
just
but
hoping.
we
Yeah.
look at it.
We are
Yeah.
just hoping. And that is from Kenya. Moving on to Nigeria and still on the university world news, the Nigerian government has announced the cancellation of 22,700 degree certificates obtained by Nigerians from unaccredited universities in Benin and Togo between 2019 and 2023. This move is part of a broader crackdown on degree fraud that has tainted the country's education system. Professor Tahir Maman, Nigerian's Minister of Education, revealed the findings on 23rd August during a speech marking his one-year anniversary in office. He stated that approximately 21,600 Nigerians obtained their degrees from unaccredited institutions in Benin, while 1,105 acquired them from unaccredited universities in Togo. Maman emphasized that the invalidation of these degrees is necessary to protect the integrity of Nigeria's education system. The Nigerian government's decision follows an investigation led by a committee established in February 2024 to address the issue of degree mills and racketeering. The committee, chaired by Professor Jabrila Amin, made several recommendations for reform, including the suspension of certificate evaluation and accreditation from certain countries pending further investigations. The government's action was prompted by a report from journalist Oman Audu, who uncovered the ease with which fake degrees could be obtained and used for official purposes in Nigeria. The minister warned that individuals in possession of these fake degrees, particularly those employed in the public and private sectors, would face disciplinary action. That is from Nigeria, and we are joined here by the communications officer at Center for Food Technology and Research in Benue State University, Nigeria, who is going to share with us what is going on in this Nigeria and what are the actions or the way forward from this. Hello, Mr. Dr. Benjamin. Can you hear me?
Very clearly. How are you? Are you hearing
Hello,
me?
Doc.
How are you? Are you hearing me?
Hello, Doc. Please, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you clearly.
Great, great, great. You're welcome to Hello
Yes.
Africa Morning Show.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Yourself?
I'm all right.
Great. So this story is from Nigeria, where the government has cancelled over 22,000 degree certificates obtained by Nigerian students. Now, I would like to ask, how were these unaccredited universities in Benin and also Togo able to operate and issue fake degrees to such a large number of Nigerians?
Thank you very much for having me. But let me say that how they are able to operate in Togo, the unaccredited universities in Togo and Benin Republic, how they are able to operate is difficult for me to say. But I can only say why a couple of Nigerians or a large number of Nigerians enroll in such universities. What happens is that the quality of education in Nigeria, like you know, is very high, and understandably so. And a number of students who enroll in such universities are people who are not able to pass through the rigor of quality education in Nigeria, and people who have the resources to, enroll in any other university. And so what happens that a couple of times they they are not able to pass through. They are either withdrawn, suspended from regular universities in Nigeria, and then they take to some of these other universities in Benin and Togo to get their education in these countries. So it is not within my authority to know why a large number of universities in Benin and Togo are not accredited, but I can only say that the number of students that you have talked about, 22,700 certificates that have been invalidated by the government of Nigeria, are those who are unable to pass through the rigor of quality education in Nigeria. So that's where we are at the moment. Are we together?
Thank you for your submission. And I would like to know whether there is some specific pressure, probably societal and or economic pressure in Nigeria that is making students go for these unaccredited certificates or fake certificates.
No, I think I must admit that there is a misplacement of value in our social system. And what I mean by that is that we tend to place so much emphasis on certificate rather than competence. So when people have competence to, produce, they tend not to be recognized by the government. And so people think that once they have certificate, they will be able to gain entry into government participation, either in politics or in any other area of development. So they think that the way to go is to at least have any kind of certificate, and so as to gain participation, in government and development. And I think that that's an area that government also need to take a look, because once you don't recognize competence and you place emphasis on certificate for whatever it is, this is always going to be the result. So the result we're having is a fallout of the fact that government over the years seems to place more emphasis on certificate rather than on parents. That's where we are, and until that is changed, we may not be able to do anything good about it. So it's certainly not the issue of pressure of economic or social pressure, maybe social pressure, but not economic pressure that is forcing people to go and take degrees from unaccredited universities in other parts of Africa, particularly Togo and Benin Republic.
So someone hearing this for the first time is going to be scared, at the same time questioning, especially from other African countries, questioning whether their certificate is accredited or not. So how is this fake certificates done? Is it that they don't go to school, they just go to see the faculty and then give them money, as in corruption, so that they acquire the certificate, or they're actually going to school for the whole year, maybe 4 years, 3 years, 1 year, or 2 years, and then they get the certificate. But unfortunately, the school has not been accredited to give such certificates. How is this? If you can probably explain to us the what goes into the fake certificates.
Yeah, the issue is it is not that the university, you cannot justify Whether once the university is not accredited, there is no justification that can hold for it in any part of the world. That is global best practice. Universities that are supposed to issue certificate are universities that are accredited by relevant authorities. So whether in Benin or Togo or any part of the world that universities are not accredited, they cannot offer degrees to students or prospective students. So what is happening is when people create institutions without legitimacy, then that in itself is an error, and it's a system error in those countries. And I have told you why some Nigerians choose to patronize such universities, because we have a rigorous, tight value attached to university education in Nigeria. And a number of these students are unable to pass through this strength quality education that we have in Nigeria and find themselves enlisting because they have the resources to do so. But the idea is that whether the university is formed in any part of the world and that university is not accredited, the university has no business to offer a certificate to anybody whatsoever. So you can see that why the government of Nigeria is bent on invalidating this certificate is the fact that there is no justification for error. An error is not subjective in any part of the world. Once it's an error, irrespective of how old or how it has lasted. But the point is that government is aware now that people are coming with fake degrees from some of these institutions in Benin and Togo, and government is bent on invalidating those certificates, and action is already taken, even in institutions, to ensure that those certificates are not recognized.
Thank you very much. And so certificate or students whose certificate has been cancelled, meaning they are not able to, or they won't be able to use their certificate to apply, or probably if they are in a working environment, they may be in a dangerous situation, probably being sacked. What do you think, or what is the government doing to kind of compensate these students? I don't know if it's the right way to say, but obviously I may have gone to school. I didn't know that my certificate is unaccredited, and here I am in this situation. What is the government trying to do to help these students whose certificate has been cancelled?
Yeah, that is good, but that is sentiment now. The correct thing is that what is wrong is not subjective. What is wrong, irrespective of the environment. And so the Nigerian government is insisting that those certificates are not valuable and they cannot be usable for employment in Nigeria. And for those who are already employed, government is insisting that those people are supposed to be withdrawn from such employment status. Yes, the issue of compensation, like you pointed out, is morally correct. Morally correct in the sense that some of these students perhaps don't know that the institutions they have studied or enlisted are not or were not accredited. So in that wise, it may be reasonable for government to take a look and then see how possible mitigating factors can be brought in to see how these students can be rehabilitated, because they are citizens of Nigeria, and it will not be correct for government to totally overlook the fact that some of them unknowingly undertook some of the ventures they have. So it's proper for the government to take a look, as you suggested. But what is right, and what is wrong is wrong. So that's where we are at the moment.
Indeed, what is right, and what is wrong is wrong. Now, my next question is, how is the government, or what is the next plan? How is the government and the educational institutions going to work together henceforth to reduce the appeal of unaccredited institutions in Nigerian students?
What is for students to be prepared. It boils down to the quality of preparation. It boils down to the quality of education. And then once we have students who are ready to pass through the rigor of university education in Nigeria, that situation will be mitigated. Again, this is an enlightenment. There are quite a number of students who don't know that some of these universities are not accredited, are now aware that these universities are not accredited. And I'm not sure that anybody in his right senses will go and do what will not give him any positive outcome. So going forward, I do not think that Nigerians, knowing that government is bent on ensuring that if you have your certificate from any university, not only in Benin or Togo, any university in the world that is not accredited, it will have no value in our social and political system in Nigeria. But that knowledge is critical to decision making by prospective students who want to take university education in any other part of the world outside of Nigeria.
Now, when we look at the root causes of this situation, we have corruption being number one. We have unemployment, which is kind of drive forcing students to go for this fake certificate, as well as lack of information. Like you said, some of these students do not know that the universities are unaccredited or they are not credited. What would be your advice to these situations? How do you think this can be kept in terms of corruption, unemployment, and also lack of information?
Yeah, these are very important issues that government will need to look at. But the issue of corruption, I don't know where you are thinking that corruption is coming from, whether from this government sector or general Nigerian milieu. But the important thing is that corruption is everywhere. If you leave Nigeria to any other part of the world, it's the dimension that we're talking about. But the important thing is for government to insist that the right thing is done. And in doing the right thing, like I said earlier, we need to recognize the fact that some of these students who have graduated from, some of these graduates from these unaccredited universities are Nigerians, and we must find a soft landing for them. We should be able to find a soft landing for them so that their situation, will not be totally or terribly devastated. So, in my view, like you pointed out, there is economic pressure not only in Nigeria but in most other countries in developing countries of the world, especially in Africa. So we cannot afford to be hard in a way that we frustrate people and turn them to something else, especially with the spate of banditry and so many other vices that are already obvious in our social system. So I think government need to take a look and see how the mitigating factors can bring some kind of rehabilitation and a restatement to whatever credible system that we have in Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Dr. Benjamin Ejua Ogbu, for joining us on Hello Africa Morning Show. Indeed, it is quite important that the government step up to let people know that fake certificate, it is not the right thing. And actually, the government cancelling their certificate is a good strategy for people to know that, okay, the government is actually serious on this situation. Thank you very much for joining us once again, and we hope to engage you another time on a different story.
Thank you very much. My pleasure. The AAU team. God bless you.
Okay. Have a nice day. Phil, that is a story from Nigeria cancelling over 22,000 certificates.
Yeah.
How would you feel if you were in this situation?
It's a serious problem. Dr. Benjamin mentioned a number of issues. So my major one is how in these countries, these institutions have been able to start up from the scratch, and they have become, I don't know if they are full-fledged institutions or what, but obviously they are established institutions. How are these institutions established without the bodies regulating that space? Not knowing about them. Because there is a chance, like you and Doc were talking about, that some of these people or the students may not know that the schools are not accredited. They will attend it, they'll be given certificates, only to find out that the school is not accredited, then it means that the degree is a fake degree.
Exactly.
Who would you blame? The student
or the school
or the body regulating the space?
Yeah.
So it's a major issue. So I feel to crack down on this, the bodies regulating the space, first of all, must set up, because if I don't think that these institutions are doing this in hiding, because look at the number of certificates that have been produced, over 20,000. If you have produced over 20,000 certificates for students, it means you are not an institution that is hiding. So the bodies regulating these people should know about this, and then work around it. If it would be nice if by whatever means the governments in these countries can find a way to make sure that there's a list of accredited institutions where students or parents can easily go and check before their wards do application to these schools. I mean, something must be done such that even if this institution still exists, you will know that this institution is accredited or it is not accredited. Because at the end of the day, when you go there, it's a number of things. It's not for free. You pay. So even the individual loses something, and at the end of the day gains nothing. It's some kind of high-level fraud for me if you think about it. So I think it's a major problem that needs to be tackled.
It is.
Yeah.
And this actual situation now has, I don't know, I think we've made mention on AAU Midweek News, I think last year, where a student from, I'm not sure of the university, but so I'm not going to, went outside with a certificate only to know that your certificate is outmoded. Actually, not fake,
that does not even exist.
It is past, outmoded, like we don't use that kind of exactly. So we were questioning whose fault is it, just like you are asking. Is it the student not knowing that the school or the course he or she is taking is not the right one, or is the accreditation board?
It's an issue of a shared responsibility. So, like I'm saying, the institution regulating the space is number one. When you, as an individual, or your parents want to do applications for you to a school, you should be able to check these things. We have the National Accreditation Board, for example, in Ghana. I believe there are similar organizations in these countries. Their job is to make sure that the public knows about these things. So, if you have doubts, I mean, check with these people. I can understand why some people might want to go to some of these universities, maybe because every school has their requirements for admissions. Maybe these requirements are not so rigorous, so maybe people might want to choose that. But think about it. If you're choosing a school with something of the sort, I'm just assuming, because these are some of the reasons people would do some of these things. So it's, for me, it's a shared responsibility. The regulating bodies, parents, and all of these people. I mean, even the security agencies must be up and doing about these things, because if the responsibility is not shared, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be chaotic. So this thing must be looked at seriously.
Yeah, very true. And some institutions are also saying, especially universities, are saying that the duration to be accredited takes quite a very long time.
But that does not allow you to do the wrong thing.
Very true. I agree with you. But this is what they are doing. So maybe let's say it takes 4 years or 5 years to be accredited. Those stats, do you get it? Those stats, I mean, admitting students as they are in the process of, then maybe there will be a delay for maybe 6 months that is heading to 5 years. Forgetting that the students you admitted that first year is graduating with unaccredited certificates, which is going to cause a problem in the future.
So for me, if the institution is not accredited, they cannot start operation. Operation. Unless, of course, there's some sort of agreement between the accreditation body and then the institution, to say that.
Like when you are going for driving license, it's not ready. They'll give you some kind of temporary license. So
that's what we do in Ghana. So there's a temporary license you can use, and you are assured that within a certain duration, you would get the original license. So if there can be some sort of agreement between the regulating bodies and the institutions, then that is fine. It can be worked out. If something like that can be done, fair enough. If it cannot be done, then I don't think that the institutions have the right to begin operations. I feel it's a criminal offense, if you ask me, because you are collecting money from innocent citizens and you are educating them. Maybe as what you're educating them or what you're teaching them is true or is real. But at the end of the day, what can they do with a certificate that has no accreditation?
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
It's sad. It's really sad, especially for students who may be naive, wouldn't know, go to school only to complete, and they'll say, Masa,
too bad.
After all these school fees,
Exactly.
the stress, the resources, and everything. It's quite, and I like the strategy taken by the Nigerian government of cancelling. I mean, it shows that they are serious. We are cancelling it. Sorry, probably just like Doc made mention, there'll be some compensation for the students. But it's a good strategy, and it should be done in all other African countries, because I know it is not just Nigeria. It is happening even here. Here
I
in
mean,
Ghana,
all over the world. I mean, it's happening, not only in Africa. I mean, fraud and let me say scam in every every sector happens. So it's not only an African problem. So it should be looked at all over.
All right, and let's move to the third story, Phil, if you can give us
the next story.
The third one.
Okay, the third story. So this is a story which talks about people with disability, some sort of disability. So let me go through the summary of the story.
Sure.
And it says, while inclusive education has gained global attention, students with invisible disabilities continue to face significant challenges in higher education. Despite international frameworks like the Salamanca Statement and the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, these students often struggle with unacknowledged needs and hidden costs. In Tanzania, the Disabilities Act of 2010 aims to protect persons with disabilities from discrimination, but falls short in guiding educational institutions on how to accommodate invisible disabilities. Conditions such as autoimmune disorders, neurodivergence, and certain visual and auditory impairments remain largely overlooked in educational settings. Invisible disabilities, which make up 15% of all disabilities, according to the WHO, present unique challenges in higher education. Students often avoid disclosing their conditions due to fear of stigma, intrusive questions, or being seen as a burden. The lack of tailored accommodations and awareness within the universities further exacerbates their struggles. Experts argue that creating a conducive learning environment requires universities to normalize accommodations, involve staff in modeling inclusive behavior, and ensure that support is available without the need for overwhelming processes. By doing so, universities can help remove the stigma surrounding disability and ensure all students feel respected and accommodated. This is a big deal. It's a big deal. I can partially relate because of a recent, let me say, academic work I embarked on in Ghana when it comes to social welfare issues. And it involved people living with people with disabilities. And it's almost as if these people, in the eyes of the regulatory bodies or the people who are supposed to be caring for them, or wherever they go, so the people who are supposed to be looking after them, it appears as if these people don't exist in the eyes of these bodies. And it is sad because regardless of how you look at them, they are human. They have needs like every other person. So I believe that these institutions should be able to do something that would not only recognize them, but also give them the freedom to do things like regular people or normal people.
Exactly.
So I don't know what you think about it.
To me, I think when it comes to inclusivity related to education, we've kind of moved we've moved ahead, we've moved forward a bit compared to previously when they see you being challenged or you being you being disabled, a challenge to further education. Currently, we have people with big or high positions in the workspace. They've acquired a high position,
Yeah.
although they are disabled, but they have. That's because they've been able to be educated or they've gone to school. To me, I see that we've kind of advanced, but I really don't know what the situation is here, especially when we are comparing or looking at what type of disability. I think the story is saying that when it talks about disability, they only focus on the crippled or people with
or more visible disabled people.
Yeah, but when it comes to the invisible ones, they are neglected. Probably they go to school and then the resource or the equipment or the materials needed to study are not there. The classrooms are not kind of specialized in favor of them. If that is so, then I think maybe for us to achieve the SDG 4, which is education for all, may not be achieved if this is happening. It may not be achieved. I don't know. Almost, it's sad. It's sad, and I think the school or the country should do well to provide the necessary equipment, or however it is, encourage them. Yes, and the stigma too, because I'm sure there are students who are disabled and they kind of feel that stigma, people looking at them, hey, is he going to be able to complete with this, not being able to read and all that. I think it's also a problem in discouraging students with disability to apply for admission. Probably the government should do something, should encourage some kind of encouragement to these students to apply, and should provide the necessary equipment, the necessary tools for them to study, just like they are doing for the ordinary students. What do you think?
I mean, I very much agree, because I am concerned about the numbers here, because in the story it says 15%. That's quite a high number if you ask me.
15%.
And for me, this invisible disabilities, let me say, they are not so visible like it says. So it means that if you give a certain level of attention to them, these people can do a lot more like every other regular person. Because in Ghana, I know somebody who has, I can't remember the kind of syndrome the person has, but it's slightly related to what you mentioned as some sort of a disability. But this person very smart, and the person is a game, should I say, writes code for games.
Oh wow!
Computer games. So that's a person. Exactly.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So you can imagine what these people can do. And honestly, many of them are really smart.
Talented,
really
creative.
Smart. Yes.
Like they are very good. They are very good.
Their level of IQ is quite high. Very impressive. So I believe that the Tanzanian government has a lot more to do to make sure that this challenge will be properly taken care of, and then the problems will be resolved. I think it is doable. So they just need to pay just a bit more attention to it, and then that will be it, and then they will be fine. So I think we can move on to the next story now.
Yes. Before that, like I'll say, and also emphasize on the universities trying to remove the stigma when it comes surrounding disabilities, and ensure that they also feel respected, included, and feel belonging in the school. That is going to encourage students to apply.
That's true.
Moving to the next story, which is taken from the BBC.com. We have an author trying to advise us on bridging African roots and the European legacy in literature. Now, the author is one of Mozambique's and Africa's most acclaimed author. And although he goes by the name Mia Puanto, or Kuto, let me say Kuto, Mia Kuto. Now, Mia Kuto, although defines himself as an African with European roots, he laments the way he says African writers always look to Europe and the US for points of reference. I quote, "We don't know each other and do not publish our own writers inside our continent." Kutos criticizes the enduring colonial language barriers that divide African writers, urging for greater intra-African literary exchange. Despite his international acclaim, he emphasizes the need for African writers to embrace their cultural diversity and strengthen ties within the continent. His advice to young writers is to listen deeply to others and understand the connections that exist within themselves and their characters. As one of Africa's most celebrated authors, Kuto continues to champion the voices and stories of the continent. So this is Mia Kuto, who is an European, let me say, but recognizes himself as an African. That's because his parents gave birth to him in Mozambique. And he's quite kind of a shy person. He really does not express himself in public. So he does that by writing.
Okay.
So he started as a poet and then started writing books, stories, and novels, but all focused on Africa, the colonial systems, and all that. And here he's advising that it's something he's seen that most of the African authors do not really know their story. We can't tell our story. We rather look up to the Europeans. They say, okay, you were like this, like this, like this, and we base on it and write. But he's advising that probably, let's say I'm an author, right? I was not there when something happened. I should listen to another African person who was there rather than looking up to the Europeans. But what do you think of his advice? And also, what do you think about an European recognizing himself as an African?
Well, that's interesting for a European to identify as an African in the first place. But what I'd like to say is this. The story of Africans cannot be told
by the Europeans.
By Europeans.
Of course.
It cannot be said better by non-Africans. Africans must tell their own story.
Yeah.
Nobody created the story for us. We created it ourselves. So even if you were not there at the time of the story, it is the reason we have historians.
Yeah.
I mean, for example, in many of our universities, there's African studies. These stories are there. The history is there. But the question is, are we willing to dig deep into it? For example, in Ghana, in the month of March, the CTFM does what they call Ghana Month. And consistently on their morning shows, they have people talking about the tribes of Ghana, how these people settled maybe in the area where they are in, maybe the regions in which they are, where they moved from, where they came from, how they settled, what caused. I mean, these are the stories of Africans. This is a story of Ghana. So we should be able to follow the details of these things, because in the details of these things, there are certain things that you will identify that gives you a sense of belonging as an African.
And you connect to it.
And you will connect to it.
Yeah,
and that is why you are an African. So it gives you reason to do what you have to do because you're an African.
Yeah.
It's not by mistake that you are an African, or anybody who is in Africa or born in Africa is an African. There's a reason. Often, I do know that because the Western world and Europe is often better developed.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it look like, okay, people want to associate. But this writer, Mia Kuto, is an European who's trying to identify as an African.
Yeah.
It tells you that there's something deep in there.
Yeah.
And when you look into the values of a lot of African countries, you see that, I'm not saying that we are better than the Europeans, but the culture in there, the stories in there, these things are so interesting. They are fascinating. Like, it's the reason many Europeans and Americans who come here to want to study and know about Africa. It's the reason, for example, in America, you have people coming to Ghana almost every year. When we had a year of return, look at the number of people that came to connect and try to make sure they know where their roots are coming from. So I believe that it's a good thing, and African writers must learn.
Yeah, that is where we should hit.
Yeah.
The African writers.
They must learn.
Yeah.
And I would even go beyond writers. Anybody that does anything that projects Africa must make sure that they are telling the story right. Whether you are writing, whether you are creating content in the age of social media and all of that, make sure that you are telling the story, correctly.
What we are.
And what we
not
are.
what someone is saying.
And not what someone is saying. Because over the weekend, I was watching a story on CNN, I think Connection Africa. And there's a gentleman that was talking about let me say, the used clothes business, what we call foods in Ghana. Thrift clothing. So in our local parlance, we say foods. in Ghana. Like, and I had a challenge about the story that he was telling. Because in the story, it looks like most of the used clothes are not properly utilized, and then they just ship them, and then eventually they dump them somewhere. And it becomes another problem, because then it becomes refuse, and it's an environmental problem. And the story he was telling, I didn't think was on point. I mean, he had a number of great points, but it didn't sit well. So these are the kind of things we must talk about, so that there is not a misrepresentation of the continent to the outside world. I mean, it's very key.
I like what you're saying. And you also made mention that when you go to school, we have people studying African studies and all that. Yes, but don't you think what they are studying, the books who wrote them?
Many of these books were written by Africans.
Are you sure of that?
I believe that. So here's the case. So like we're talking about Africans writing the story of Africans. So I would read a story of an African or of Africa written by an African than somebody who is not an African. Because
to me, I think we so much rely on the Europeans to the extent that when it comes to school, we also, especially when you are citing examples, we use the European lifestyles or Europeans.
But the settings are different. Because Europe and Africa are completely different. So I feel like we should do more. Education-wise, everything-wise, we should do more in telling the African story. So that, I mean, like, there's that sense, because the way an African writes about the African story is different from how a European, because the European cannot release much. You know, that's the thing. So I think that these things must be looked at. And we have great writers on the continent. So I don't see why we cannot do this.
Yeah, very true. African authors, let us write our own story rather than relying on the others. Let's move to the next story.
Right. Okay. So the next story, oh, this is interesting. Cocoa. Well, anyway. So Swiss food scientists have developed a groundbreaking method to produce chocolate using the entire cocoa fruit, eliminating the need for sugar and reducing waste, paving the way for a more sustainable future in chocolate production. The innovation, led by scientist Kim Mishra at Zurich's Federal Institute of Technology, utilizes the cocoa pulp, juice, and husk, creating a sweet gel that replaces sugar in chocolate. This method has caught the attention of sustainable food companies and could significantly benefit cocoa farmers by increasing their income. The traditional method of chocolate production only uses the cocoa beans, leaving the rest of the fruits rich in nutrients to rot. The new approach could address economic and environmental concerns with a focus on reducing food waste and creating jobs in cocoa growing countries. While the cost of this new chocolate may be higher due to the price of cocoa pulp and juice, it represents a promising step towards a more sustainable chocolate industry. This sounds good to me because I like chocolates and everything chocolates.
Everything chocolates. It's also good and some kind of innovation, but I don't think Ghanaians, or I don't know, and some other parts of the African countries should use this kind of innovation, because already we use the pulp of the cocoa for something else. That's the black soap. So, and I've tried biting the pulp and it's kind of slimy and tastes weird. So I'm wondering how they incorporate the pulp as part of preparation to preparing chocolate. I really wonder how it's going to taste. They are saying they do that just to reduce the addition of sugar to the preparation. And I think that is where we Ghanaians or some other African countries can tap into. Instead of drying the cocoa right from taking it from the pulp, they take out the juice and then do a syrup with it before they dry the cocoa, blend it, and then add the juice. So the sugar is from the juice, but I'm wondering the pulp or what is in there.
So I believe that the pulp has something in it. Because if you follow the story, it says it utilizes the cocoa pulp, the juice, and the husk, creating a sweet gel that replaces sugar in chocolate.
So that means it's sweet. There's sugar. There's a.
if you have eaten cocoa from the pod, just when you break it, it is sweet.
Yes, it is. That's why they take out the juice first before drying. But we kind of dry the whole thing with the juice, which kind of limits the sugar.
Exactly.
Hence, we add more sugar to it to sweeten it.
So I think that what we have to do is to get into this process, try to identify what makes this combination of the pulp, the juice, and the husk, because I don't think that the husk has any sugary taste.
No.
In any way.
No.
So for me, the main content when it comes to the sugar might be the pulp and the juice, particularly the juice. So if we get to know what goes into the production or the process of the combination of the pulp, the juice, and the husk, then we can understand how they are able to create or they create what replaces the sugar in the chocolates. My interest here is that you are not using the kind of sugar that we already know. This is more like a natural sweetener. So for me, health-wise, it is a good thing because we do know what let me see, white sugar does to the body. That is when you take it in excess. So if you have something that can replace sugar for a product as good as chocolates, I think it is a good thing.
It is a good thing. And now I think farmers, cocoa farmers to be specific, are going to jubilate when it comes to cost, because now you are buying the beans in the pulp, the husk, everything, and not just
nothing goes to waste.
Yes, nothing goes to waste. That is all for the news portal review here on Hello Africa Morning Show. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we shall dive into the field of sports. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you a university, college, high school, private organization, NGO, individual professor, instructor or facilitator seeking to take advantage of the numerous benefits of online education? Look no further. The AAU eLearn Africa LMS is a great opportunity to begin your journey to online course development and creation for teaching, learning and training purposes. AAU eLearn Africa LMS, which is a partnership between the Association of African Universities and eLearn Africa, has made available ease to use online learning tools to all stakeholders within the educational ecosystem of the African continent. This is to enhance teaching and learning in the bid to expand online learning opportunities for students in Africa. The online platform is open and available for free to all stakeholders and facilitates virtual access to classes without needing the other tools such as Zoom, Microsoft Teams, among others. For more information, visit www.elearnafricalms.com or contact us via aaulms@aau.org or estherm@elearnafrica.com. Follow us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at AAU eLearn Africa LMS.
Explore a whole new world of exciting visuals with AAU TV. Get ready for a mix of interesting talk shows, interviews, discovery documentaries, and news on AAU TV. It's not just about watching TV, it's about experiencing something special. AAU TV reaches over 25 countries in Africa, bringing you a blend of knowledge and fun. Learn about different cultures as you enjoy the shows. If you have events or want to showcase your business, we've got you covered. Watch AAU TV free-to-air channel on satellite. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter, at AAU TV. Reach out on call or WhatsApp us at +233 26 629 6601 or +233 20 399 5210. AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa.
This program is proudly sponsored by Venom Mineral Water. Share the love. And Bigo Drinks. All right. Welcome back to the Hello Africa morning show. And we are going straight into the sports segment. Now, on Friday was transfer deadline day across most of the leagues in Europe. And a lot of interesting things happened. And we'll go through the transfers that happened on deadline day because some of them are quite shocking. And then we'll also talk about some league action from the Italian Serie A. We'll talk about the English Premiership. We'll talk about one other league, La Liga as well. And then finally, we'll give an update on the ongoing Paralympics in France. And then some local news about the Black Stars. So let's begin with the transfer deadline news. Now, on Friday, it was just shocking. Raheem Sterling made a shock loan move to Arsenal. Now, he is one of the players, or let me say, okay, not one of, the second player to play for, let me say, the big teams or the top 6 teams in England. Okay. The first person to have done this was Anelka. He played for Arsenal, he played for Chelsea, he played for Manchester City, he played for Liverpool. Raheem Sterling has played for Liverpool, he has played for Manchester City, he has played for Chelsea. Now he's going to Arsenal. And this is a loan move for the 29-year-old. And he's fallen out of favor with his new manager, Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca came to take over Chelsea, and then he's made it clear to Raheem Sterling that he's not part of his plans. So already he was not playing so well in the season that just ended. Raheem Sterling. Okay. He wasn't playing well, but he was hoping that he could revive the career under Enzo Maresca, but unfortunately, it didn't happen for him, and Maresca has made his point clear. So on transfer deadline day, Sterling and his agents were able to make a move to Arsenal. Mm-hmm. So he's a Ghana now, but he can only wait until after 2 weeks to make his first appearance. And the interesting thing now for him is he has to go and battle it out with winger Bukayo Saka. Saka plays in the same position, and he's in great form. So Sterling has to show some improvement, some sort of superiority before he can probably be able to overtake him. Okay. But Sterling has a lot of experience anyway.
Yes, I know Sterling, especially when it comes to his running skills and how fast he is to move with it.
People laugh about that, the way he runs and all that. But I mean, he's quite a good player.
Yeah,
anyway.
He is.
So we can only wish him all the best.
But that's why I was quite surprised when you say he's underperforming.
In the past season with Chelsea, he hasn't done great. I mean, so he was actually out of favor with his management, and his new manager made it clear to him as well. So I'm glad that he was able to secure a move because it was quite a worrying situation. Even though he's underperformed, we can't say he's a bad kind of player.
And probably maybe sometimes when someone is not performing, there's something going on. So we are just hoping that Arsenal is going to bring out his best.
He actually fits in the system of Arsenal, the kind of football Arsenal plays. So let's just hope that he will do well there.
Exactly.
Right. And to the other transfer news, Jadon Sancho also completed a loan move to Chelsea. Most likely he's going to replace Sterling because he's also a winger. And Sancho has had issues with his current, his former manager at Manchester United, Erik ten Hag. As a result of that, he went on loan to Dortmund, where he came from to join Manchester United. Okay. And unfortunately, things didn't work out. He had to go back on loan. And funny enough, when he went on loan, he was doing well.
Okay.
He was playing well. So everybody thought that he was going to come back and reintegrate into the Manchester United setup. But it hasn't worked well for him. It doesn't look like it's going well. So he secured a one-year loan move to Chelsea. And Chelsea have the obligation to buy at the end of the season. So we'll see how it works out.
Oh, so the transfer is pending, right?
So yes, this is only a loan move.
Okay,
it's not an actual sale. Okay. So at the end of the season, Chelsea have
whether
look
to
at
accept it or not.
Yeah, and so that's how it's going to work for Sancho. So we'll see how it works for him. And still on Manchester United, before Sancho was allowed to leave, Manuel Ugarte, the Uruguayan, he has made a permanent transfer move from PSG to Manchester United to fill in the midfield role because Scott McTominay has also left the midfield role to Napoli.
Wow, people transferring and moving.
These things, we didn't see these things coming because this was on transfer deadline, and these are major transfers because the teams needed to do these things before because the league has started. Premiership is in the third week already, so it was just a shock that many of these things happened because these are major transfers. So Manchester United have secured the services of Manuel Ugarte, but he couldn't play in yesterday's game when Liverpool beat them in their own backyard. So we hope that by the time they return this weekend, there's no Premiership. The leagues are on break. So by the time they come back from the international break, we hope that he will get a good start. Yes, and then yes, we've just talked about Scott McTominay as well. And then another shocking move was for Ivan Toney, the Brentford striker. He's made a £40 million move to the Saudi Pro League. Permanent move, £40 million to the Saudi Pro League. And you know that the Saudis are paying big money for these players. And unfortunately, let me say fortunately for him, it's big money for him, so he's going to enjoy it. But unfortunately for Chelsea, they have lost out to sign Ivan Toney. Chelsea were looking for his services because Napoli striker Victor Osimhen, the Nigerian, was hoping to make a move to Chelsea. When the move collapsed, they were hoping that Ivan Toney would come, but unfortunately, Ivan Toney is chasing the money, so it's not going to work out. So
actually, you were replacing me, and now the person didn't come. You're expecting no.
So that's for Ivan Toney. Yeah, so he's going to make big money in the Saudi Pro League with Al Ahly. And Eddie Nketiah, who is of Ghanaian descent, also made a shocking move from Arsenal to Crystal Palace in a £30 million move. We only hope and pray he would be able to
Crystal
shine.
Palace.
Yeah.
I heard Jordan has also moved.
Jordan has also moved.
Oh, that's my best player too.
Yeah, and he's had a good start, even though he didn't move on the last day of transfer. I think it was about a week before that. He was able to make a move to Leicester City.
And his first match,
and
he
in his
scored.
first game, he scored. So it's a great move for him because for a 32-year-old to still be in great form in a Premiership side, I mean that's a good thing for him. So we wish Jordan Ayew well in his new campaign with Leicester City. Now the problem with Victor Osimhen is this: he's failed to make a move to Chelsea. When the move broke down, he was expected to make a move to the Saudi Pro League as well. He didn't want to go there because he thinks that he's a 25-year-old, he's still in great form and wants to play in Europe rather than in the Gulf region. Now the transfer season has closed. Fortunately, there are a few other places whose transfers are not closed yet. But unfortunately for him, because he did not want to play for Napoli, he made it clear that he wanted a transfer. The problem now is that Napoli has replaced him with Lukaku from Chelsea and actually given his jersey number to Lukaku.
Wow.
So as it is now, Osimhen is not registered for Napoli to play for this season.
Yeah.
If he is not careful, he's going to sit out the season, the first half of the season, till January, when the transfer window opens again before he's able to make a move. Unless something happens magically.
And is that not going to affect him?
It can affect him as a player because if you are not playing, you would lose form. We are not seeing you and you will lose form. Yeah, we do know he's a great player, but if you are not playing, imagine this: we have just entered September, so this is September, October, November, December.
Like 4 months.
I mean, it's going to be a problem for him. So he needs to find a way out or find a way to work out his relationship with the Napoli team and then see what can happen for him. So we can only wish him the best and hope that the situation will be resolved. Now, quickly, let's get into some league action. Yesterday in Serie A, We're looking out for a tasty clash between Juventus and AS Roma. It was a good game,
Okay.
but it was a little boring because both of them failed to score. It was a goalless draw in a classic Sunday match. I mean, we were hoping that it was going to be a great game because these are two great teams.
So did you rely great games on scoring, or because sometimes the game there may not be any goal, but it's
mostly dependent on the teams, because Juventus is a big team in Italy. Roma is a big team as well. So usually some of these things, that's how it plays out. But you can have a lot of interesting games happen when the teams are not that great. Probably maybe one is greater than one. For example, one of the greatest football games that has happened till date was when Ghana played against Germany in the 2014 World Cup. It's one of and Ghana matched Germany boot for boot, and it was a 2-2 draw.
And it was interesting.
It was an interesting game, even though Ghana Black Stars were the underdogs in that game. So I mean, it depends on the teams. So in Italy, that's what happened. And let's go straight into the Premiership, the English Premiership. On Saturday, Erling Haaland of Manchester City, he bagged his 11th hat-trick for the team. And he gave Manchester City 3 wins out of 3 so far in the league. So they are on top of the
first on the table.
Followed by Liverpool, who have also won 3 games out of 3. And they are having a good season under their new manager, who came from Feyenoord to take over the team. And so Haaland it's a good start for him for this season, because last season he was criticized a little bit that he didn't find the back of the net often, and it was some sort of a problem. So it's a good start for him this season. So we hope that he can continue to deliver. And yesterday, in a Super Sunday clash at Old Trafford, Manchester United were beaten by Liverpool 3-0. And I'm happy. Liverpool is my club. And so
you are happy.
I am so happy.
Wow.
Because it's in their own backyard.
I don't support either of them, so
no problem. But you'll find out very soon that Liverpool is one of the best teams in Europe. So you'll find out very soon.
So why are you happy?
Oh, I am happy because
why are you happy? If they are the best,
they are our bitter. Manchester United are our bitter rivals. So whenever the two teams meet, there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of expectation. So for Liverpool to beat them in the first half, it was 2-0, and then in the second half, then Mohamed Salah added. I mean, it's great. And Mohamed Salah is one of the greatest threats to Manchester United. Anytime they are playing at Old Trafford, he's scored 7 goals at Old Trafford.
7.
Not many players are able to do that when they play against Manchester United, and Salah has been able to do that. And so it's a good.
Look at how happy you are.
Oh, I am excited. I am excited. And in the La Liga,
so with the 3-0, what do you think is the problem when it comes to Manchester United?
Oh, Manchester United lost the game in the midfield.
Okay.
There was a lot of problem with Casemiro in the first half. He's actually the reason the 2 first goals were scored in the first half. So they need to look at their midfield and see what can be done about it. Unfortunately, the transfer season window has closed, but they have to make do with the midfield setup that they have. So Erik ten Hag has a lot of work to do.
And what's the story for Black Stars? You made mention.
Oh, yes. So let me finish quickly on La Liga, and then we can go on to the Black Stars. So in La Liga, finally, Kylian Mbappe yesterday scored his first La Liga goal, and he scored in style. When he scored the first one, he added a second one, which is also his first penalty as a Madrid player. And this is his 3rd game in the league, and people have been waiting for the goals to come. And yesterday he managed 2 goals. So it's a great win for him, and everybody is happy for him. So let's move quickly to the Black Stars. They are playing on the 5th in Kumasi against Angola, and then on the 9th they'll fly out before the 9th. So
home and away.
To play against Niger. This is the AFCON qualifiers. But beyond the playing of the team, their management members the members of the management committee, including the head coach Otto Addo, and then assistant coach John Pentel, and then the goalkeeper trainer Fatah Dada, unfortunately were involved in an accident over the weekend. Yes. But thankfully, they are okay.
Thank God.
They escaped unhurt. They were coming back from a football game they went to watch in the western region, and then their car was involved in an accident. But thankfully, they are doing very well.
Oh, this is
very,
bad.
Very well.
Thank God they are okay.
Yeah. So that is all about sports. And then on the Paralympics, China is leading the medal table with 71 medals so far.
Of course, China.
So that's all about sports.
And how about African countries? Do we have any?
The African countries are doing quite well, but they don't have a great representation in the Paralympics. But it's okay. Maybe next week we can look into it.
All right.
Right.
Thank you very much, Phil, for such an interesting sports stories there. And that is all for today's. That is all for today. As we brought to you top African news, we looked at Unijust confirming safe rescue of kidnapped medical students. We also looked at UCC and STIAS collaborating to boost Africa's research and innovation. And with the news portal review, we looked at the Nigerian government cancelling over 22,000 faked certificates, as well as we saw robot waiters helping human waiters. I mean, we are moving into the technological era, and with the sports, we saw some huge transit of players from one team to another and all that, and Black Stars and head management involving in an accident. That is all we have for you, and we hope you enjoyed it. Also, please remember that this program is brought to you by Vena Purified Water and Biko Drinks. My name is Isabella Tetteh-Ahinakwa, and I've been here with
Philimon.
You can also follow this discussion on our social media handles at Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube. See you again next week, Monday. Have a great day.
This program is proudly sponsored by Vena Mineral Water, Share the Love, and Bigo Drinks.